Good morning, Bashar. It's an honor to be here with you.
And to you, good day. It is our passion and our pleasure to interact with you.
And it's nice to be here with you again. When we were last in Colorado together, you shared how many parallel lives I had. And
how many you are connecting to. Had is an illusion. Remember, everything exists at once?
Correct.
So the question really is, how many parallel incarnations am I connecting to right now to serve who I am in this moment? And that answer is only for this moment.
Yes, relative to being in accord with universal law.
Yes. Well, you can't, in a sense, be out of accord with universal law, but you can attempt to go against the grain. Now, that's not necessarily completely being out of accord, because you can't really step outside universal law, but we understand that there is a way to be harmonious with it, if that is what you mean by in accord.
Absolutely. So how many?
Right now, about 164.
164. Since we were last together...
Now, one moment. Oh. How does that information help you?
Because relative to the glass walls we're seeing, I know that I don't know. I know enough to be dangerous. It's very interesting. I know that there's bleed through with that.
Bleed through, again, is only you matching frequencies so that you can create an effect for yourself that you are seeing someone else create for themselves. There's no literal bleed through. It's just a matching of resonant frequencies.
To answer your question, so I'm always wanting that number in me to be in phase with universal law. Now I'm hearing I cannot be out of phase with, through morality, through ethics, and through principles, how I could be more principled, more ethically sound.
All right. Well, again, being yourself, your true self, and acting on your passion will give you more discernment about what is true and not true for you, and will give you more understanding of how to align with what you call the idea of harmonious ethics. Because as you follow your passion, what happens? You raise your frequency. As you raise your frequency, what happens? You become a more sensitive receiver and antenna for higher frequency information that brings with it more understanding and more insight and more discernment about the difference between what is and isn't truly you. So it's automatically built in that you start aligning with things that are truly more ethical for you when you raise your frequency, because you simply recognize the difference between when you are and aren't doing that more easily. It's all built in. It's a holistic system. Make sense?
Understood.
All right.
Since we were last together, I was in New Mexico, and I was blessed by being with Sasquatch, and so I smelt this stench, and then all around me was this clear light that was very harmonic, and I was just curious as they asked me, would you like to learn with us? And it's affirmative, and I'm sitting here with you going, okay, what's the procedure? Do I just receive? What were the downloads about? Were there downloads? Are there things that will be activated as time goes?
Yes, so again, are you not understanding how the formula works?
No.
All right. Do you remember that one of the tools built into the formula is the organizing principle of synchronicity that brings you exactly what you need when you need it in perfect timing in the order in which you need to act on it?
Understood? Yeah.
Therefore, all the things you're asking right now, again, are automatically built in if you just follow your passion however you can and whatever is presented to you that you are capable of taking an action on that is representative of something that contains even just a little bit more excitement than any other option at that moment, and you keep doing that with no insistence on the outcome and remain in a positive state. Synchronicity, as the organizing principle, will bring you every opportunity you need for whatever it is that's relevant for you to learn in your life. Again, it's a holistic system. It's automatically built in. You don't have to manipulate the pieces into shape. Does that help?
Yeah, so, I love to visualize. So right now I have, that clear light beam that was around me. I just walk through the day with it. It keeps me alert and in the moment.
Yes.
So how may I continue the telepathic communication? Do I need to be in New Mexico? Can I do it where I live in Colorado?
I suppose you could. What would prevent you from doing that?
To
Do
have,
you wish to be in that location? Is that location representative of your passion?
yeah.
Or is there another location?
No, there's definitely passion there, and there's definitely.
Then doesn't that answer your question?
I would like to do it from my home in Colorado.
Then why not? What is preventing you from believing it can happen that way?
Okay, so thank you for your patience with me.
I have no patience at all. I don't need patience because I'm never impatient. Everything that's happening in the moment is exactly what needs to be happening. There's nowhere else I need to focus. There's nowhere else I need to be. So I don't need patience.
Do I have an agreement with Sasquatches? I'm thinking this is picked up from another life, right? It's not first contact. I'm pretty sure we've connected before.
Again, speaking linearly, you can say before, yes, but do you really understand that everyone exists at the same time, even the things you're calling other lives?
Yes, yes.
Therefore, the connection is happening in the present. It doesn't come from before. It comes from another present experience that someone is having that you're tapping into in order to draw information from that experience to use in your theme of exploration.
Right. So, okay. So when I'm as I'm in communication with Sasquatch right now with everybody, the signature knowing feeling I have would, I'm just looking for some tangible, something to touch.
Then create something. Remember what I said about taking actions?
Yes.
You can create something, a permission slip that is tangible for you, that is representative of the vibration that you're experiencing, of the experience that you're having. You can create it. And maybe that's the point. Don't wait for things to happen to you. Get them to happen through you by taking actions on the things you believe you need as representative symbols that work for you of the experience that you're having.
For validation, so I've already been going interdimensionally with them and through my dreams.
Then that's a good start. But if there's something else your imagination comes up with that you could do, do it. If it makes sense in alignment with the vibration of this kind of an experience. Maybe you need to make a little model of a Sasquatch. Who knows? But if you haven't thought of things like that, or even drawing a picture of one that is representative of the beings you believe you're in contact with, you're not taking all the physical actions that you could be taking. You follow?
Yes, yes, I do.
So whichever one is more exciting for you, look around in your imagination and see what you could also be bringing to the party. It's not a one-way street. It's not all on them.
Right.
It's on you too.
Okay.
So bring something to the party.
Absolutely, and blessings to everyone here. So I will just go ahead and follow my bliss. I have a sacred spot that I hang out in New Mexico, so I'll be there with them. I'll find a sacred spot in my home and in my heart. And is there anything we could all know about Sasquatch, maybe some history or something?
Well, there are many different varieties. Overall, in what you call the North American continent, the ancient word for them is Susquehannock.
Love that.
Yes?
Got it.
And the idea as to why they are, shall we say, difficult to find, is that in their evolution, they have learned that they can shift from one parallel reality to another. They call it slipwalking. So they can slipwalk out of your field of perception.
Right. And so am I in contact with the Sasquatch in Colorado as well as the New Mexico? Like, do they know I'm here as a student, or do you want to interact with them? Like, I only feel the vibe in New Mexico, the radar that I'm in. I don't feel the radar in Colorado.
And so the answer is?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Was that so difficult?
I'm letting it in.
Please remember, what you are attracted to because that's what works for you.
Got it.
Therefore, for what it is, as a permission slip, no matter what form it takes, that's valid in that moment if it allows you to experience more of who you are.
Got it.
All right? Does that help?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Blessings to you. Thank you.
Remember, it is the experience of physical reality that is real. Physical reality isn't real unto itself.
Hi, thank you, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I feel very honored to be here.
Again, it is our honor as well.
Thank you very much. My question is about life themes.
About life themes.
Yes.
All right, well, the greatest challenges you face in life are usually representative of the themes you chose to explore. That's usually how they present themselves.
Okay, the question is that I've heard you say that if you've chosen a life theme and it's like a corridor,
Yes.
and you can go down it any way, you can skip down it, run down it, swim down it, ice skate. I've
Yes.
heard you say that.
Yes, that's because we said that. That's why you heard that.
Yes. Okay. What can you have more than one theme, or do you have to?
You can change themes in this day and age on your planet. You have evolved to a point where you can finish one theme and begin another without dying. Yes.
Okay, great. Because I sense that one of my themes is to be here in this lifetime without my soul family, where I chose for them to stay in spirit,
Yes.
and me be here by myself.
Well, how bold of you.
I do believe it was a very bold choice, but now I believe I have outgrown that theme. I've learned from that theme.
All right.
I've learned independence.
So what else would you like to explore in this life?
I like to explore in this life having my soul family with me now.
Maybe.
Okay.
You know, it's not just up to you.
Yes.
It's up to them too, yes?
Okay.
Because from their perspective, they understand what serves everyone in the family best. You can too. So I would simply say be open to the idea, certainly be allowing for those that wish to join you in that way, but don't insist on it.
Okay.
Because insistence is resistance.
Right.
Yes?
I agree, yes.
All right, so be open to it. Let them decide how they wish to come through if they do, to join you in this way. And those that feel that that is something that is worth for them to do will do so. Those that don't won't. It's as simple as that.
Can you tell if I have can you tell if I learned that lesson of independence?
Since you have to ask, I would say the answer is not quite.
Okay.
See where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
Because why would you have to ask if you really learned it?
True.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, in your own honest self-assessment, is there still something else to learn about that?
No, I think I have learned that lesson. I truly do.
All right.
I just kind of wanted your take on it because I like
My take is that if that is so, you may still test yourself to see if that's true for you. Mm-hmm. Because again, remember, if you truly have learned that lesson, then it's not going to matter to you what happens in your life. It's only going to matter what you decide to do with what happens. Because the true measure of change is not whether the outside world changes. The true measure of change is that you respond differently, even if it still looks the same. Because it shouldn't really matter how it looks, since you know, as the creator of your reality, that you can use every situation to your advantage and derive benefit from it, no matter how it looks. So why would you care what happens or how it looks in that context? Mm-hmm. You follow?
I do.
All right. If you have learned that, then you truly have learned freedom.
True. You're absolutely correct.
I know, that's why I said it.
Okay. Is it okay if I ask you to do me a favor?
You may ask. That doesn't mean we will grant it. But you may ask whatever you wish.
I would like for you to ask Darryl if he could be a guest on my show.
Why don't you just ask the channel when you have the opportunity?
I shall.
We don't need to be the intermediary for those kinds of things.
Okay.
All right?
All righty. Okay.
Does that help you?
That helps me a lot, so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
Where I live, I happen to see, I've seen several plasma ships fly over my house, and then I see some that are not. I haven't been able to quite figure out if they're Arcturians or what have you. it's quite intriguing to see them. Sometimes I've seen them and no one else can see them. Sometimes
That will happen sometimes.
see them and some people see them with me.
Yes.
Just quite interesting.
Depends on the frequency, depends on the resonance.
And that's the thing that I was wondering about frequency, resonance, vibration.
Yes.
Is that I didn't meditate when I would see them. So
Not saying
they're
you
just
had to.
naturally higher in vibration frequency.
You are naturally whatever the frequency needs to be for you to be able to perceive them, whatever that frequency is. It more often than not might be higher than usual, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be if it is the correct frequency in which you need to see them.
Interesting. I think that the reason why they're around is because of the landmark location where I'm at. Also, I think there's a portal that opens and closes, because I've seen like 6 at a time that would just disappear at some point over
Yes.
the house.
Yes, yes,
I'm
yes.
going,
Well,
I
there
remember
are
when
many
you was-
different kinds of pathways and portals around your planet, and there's a lot of traffic coming and going around your world that most of you never see.
Yeah, it's a big highway traffic jam above the house. Interesting.
Well, no jam, but a highway in a sense, yes.
Yeah, so so how does one raise their vibration and frequency if they want to purposely, intently do that? Is
You
there a
understand
is
the
there a
formula,
is
yes
there
or
a certain
no?
modality, a certain
You
method?
understand the formula, yes or no? Shall
I
we
don't
repeat
remember. I don't remember the formula.
it? Even though we actually said it about 3
Yeah.
minutes ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Rub it in.
Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
You act on whatever contains more passion, more excitement than any other option. You act on it to the best you can till you can act on it no further. Look around for the next thing that contains even just a little bit more excitement than any other option, no matter what it may be. You act on that next to the best you can until you can take it no further. You keep doing this with no assumption, no insistence on why you are taking those actions as to what the outcome should be. None. Zero. Then you remain in a positive state no matter what manifests, even if what manifests may be neutrally something you don't necessarily prefer. You have to know by remaining in a positive state that it's got to be there for a positive reason to serve you. By remaining in a positive state, even if it's something you don't prefer, you'll be able to use what you don't prefer in a way that you do prefer and learn something from it because you know it's there for a reason. As soon as you use it up, it will go away and something else will take its place. That's how you raise your frequency. That's how you make yourself a more receptive and sensitive antenna for experiences that are representative of higher frequency dimensions of reality. And if you just keep doing that, your frequency continues to rise and you have more and more ability to perceive things that were heretofore invisible to you, that are around you all the time, but you're not on the frequency of. So all you have to do is keep upping your frequency by continuing to act on your passion, but you have to have zero insistence as to what the outcome ought to look like or what's supposed to happen, because acting on your passion must be done for its own sake, not because of what you think doing that will get you. Otherwise, you're making your passion conditional, and as soon as you make it conditional, you lower your frequency. Because it shouldn't matter what does or doesn't happen in the world around you, in the reflection of physical reality, because you know that whatever it is that happens is going to be able to serve you, because you're going to remain in the state that will allow it to do so. Is that a clear explanation for you?
It's a clear explanation, but
I guess that means not quite.
Well, yeah.
All right.
Human beings, by their own innate nature,
Yes.
have a consciousness. Their minds babble, and their minds aren't
Excuse me.
focused.
Excuse me. That is not your nature. That is your learning. It is not your nature to have a babbling mind. It is the way you've been taught. It's the way you've been brought up. It's what you've been told to believe is true that creates the chatter. That's not your natural state.
The conditioning.
It's conditioning. So you have to unlearn that, let it go, by finding out what belief systems you may be buying into that don't work for you, that are out of alignment with who you truly are, so that you can actually be your true natural self instead of your normal self. Because most of you have simply been normalized through conditioning. Most of you are not your natural selves, and therefore you rarely experience what it actually means to be your natural selves, which contains absolutely no babbling at all. It's clear. When you are your natural self, things are clear, concise, precise, direct, understandable, knowable. No babbling required.
So if someone wanted to interact with their Merkaba, they apply the same formula that you just mentioned earlier.
Yes, but again, when you say if they want to interact with this, you have to be cautious about the idea that that's not bringing it to the level of insistence that that must happen in the way you think. Because you don't really know. See, here's the clue, here's the secret for all of the physical minds. The biggest clue, the biggest thing is for the physical mind to realize that it might think it knows what the outcome should be, but it actually has no clue what the best outcome ought to be. So while you may use that as a visualizational goal, as a symbol of an ideal experience or an outcome, you can't insist on it. Use it to pump up the vibration, because thinking about the idea of interacting that way, with that energy, will get you excited. But don't hold on to the picture. It might manifest that way, but it might not. So if you insist that this has to be the way it looks, you might actually be closing the door through which some other experience might come that the higher mind would send you that would even be better than your physical mind imagined. Don't close the door to the higher mind. Let it show you what it is that needs to manifest in the next moment. Because it's not always about what you want. More importantly, it's about what you need. What you need will fulfill you. Always. Sometimes your wants may coincide with your needs, but very often when you are brought up with all sorts of contradictory belief systems about what it is you think you need, that you say, well, I want this, and if I only had that, everything would be, as you say, hunky-dory. Mm-hmm. You don't know that for a fact. So the idea is to allow yourself to simply relax into being given what you need, because that will always fulfill you. And many times your wants will not. If you're going to insist on wanting, want what you need. Does this help?
Yes, it does, actually. It answered indirectly other questions, and thank you. I thank you on that.
Yes.
One final question as a closure.
Yes.
Can humans teleport, especially in their vehicles? Because I've had that happen to me one time.
Yes, of
course.
course.
I can't figure out what caused it.
All right. You happen to be in the right state to give yourself that experience so that you could know that such things are possible. It doesn't mean that has to happen again in that way. It might have only been to allow you to open your mind to know that such things are possible. But the real question is, are they relevant to happen again? Or is it something that gives you a marker, in a sense, to let you know that as you continue to expand your energy, such things might be experienced that way again or differently. But the real secret is you're actually doing it already all the time. Because remember, the idea of evolving is not actually that you learn to do things you're not doing already. Evolution is the growing awareness of what it is you're already doing from a new point of view. Because when you talk about the idea of teleporting, you're already, in a sense, doing that, because you actually shift from parallel reality to different versions of Earth literally billions of times per second already. So all you did was allow yourself a moment of clear recognition that that's what you were already doing.
Definitely surprised me. And I know one thing was awesome bypassing the stop lights. But yeah,
The more aware you become that that's what's already happening, it's more likely that you may experience it more consciously again. But you have to wrap your mind around the fact that you're already actually doing it. You have to understand how this works when you create your reality experience. And when you understand the mechanism, then you'll see that you're already doing it. And when you know you're already doing it, it's much more likely that you will be able to consciously do it again.
where would I start to begin to understand how it works, how this works?
Well, as we have said, everything exists all at once. Do you understand that concept?
Yes.
All right. So if everything exists in the here and now, how is it that you create this concept of space and time and movement and change? How can you create a model that can express the idea of how that works? An analogy that exists in your reality is a film strip. If you look at a strip of film that you use to watch your movies, yes, I understand you're in your digital age, but nevertheless, the analog illustration will work, perhaps a little bit more clearly, because there are still, in a sense, frames even in your digital world. But by illustrating it as a film strip, you can see the frames visually with your eyes. Each and every frame is a different reality, and each of those is frozen. There's no movement, no experience in any single frame. It's just a snapshot. Now, in order to get the next movement, you run those frames through the projector and project them on a screen at a certain frame rate, and it gives you the illusion of movement, change, growth, expansion, space, time. That's exactly what you're doing with all the different parallel frames that exist simultaneously, is you're shifting your consciousness, focusing your consciousness through billions of frames per second to create this illusion of continuity of movement and time and space and change. You are literally skipping through frames. So if you understand you're already doing that, you can also start to imagine that you could, and again, this is a euphemism, it's just a helpful illustration. It's not necessarily a literal description, but you can realize that what you could do when you know you're skipping through frame after frame after frame after frame is you could go into a vibrational state where you kind of start skipping frames. Well, I could put my consciousness through frame 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or I also could go consciousness to frame 1, consciousness to frame 10. And now I have appeared to teleport without any intervening travel, without any intervening time. This is how we go from star to star in our ships.
And that also explains how someone can just change the direction they want to go.
Exactly. Because every moment is zero. And the vibration you are is the rudder that steers you through the frames you experience. So by acting on your passion and upping your vibration to be more representative of who you truly are, that's the rudder that steers you through the frames that represent more and more and more and more and more reflective representations of the version of Earth that simultaneously already exists, but is more representative of the changes going on within you. That's how that works. So does that model work for you?
Yes, it actually really does. It explains a lot.
All right.
I don't know who they are that fly over my house. They've written.
You don't have to.
If
you need to know,
hi.
if you need to know, you will.
Okay.
Because remember, the kit of passion is a complete kit, and it leaves nothing relevant for you out. So if you really need to know, the situation will present the information to you in some way, shape, or form. If it never presents that information to you, that's your first clue you didn't really need to know. Yes?
Understood.
All right.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Bashar.
And a you good day.
First, I just want to thank you for everything that you teach and just the frequency that you vibrate at.
Again, it is our passion and our pleasure.
We spoke in 2014 in Sedona, and what you talked to me about in regards to voices in your head was really profound.
Oh, all right.
And I want to thank you for that as well. I find myself just recently relocating here to the Bay Area, and it's interesting. I'm in the business world now, and it really feels good, and it feels
You
passionate.
sound surprised.
I am, and I'm not sure why. I never thought that my trajectory would bring me to the business world.
Well, what is the business you do?
I collect data, and I help to train it out to people.
All right. And at this moment in your life, what is exciting about that for you?
I get to meet with stakeholders. I get to hear their vision. I get to understand what they want from the company.
So you are gathering different perspectives.
I am, actually.
All right.
I find that I'm really good at that, and I guess I just didn't know that I was really good at that.
Until you allowed yourself to follow your passion and see where it led.
Correct. And this has never been a more defining moment about really actually understanding my passion than right now with you right here. And that's actually really clear.
Yes, well, that's why we say you don't necessarily have to start out with some overarching project or giant career path. You can start simply just by looking around at the different options available to you at any given moment. I could take a walk, I could read a book, I could have some food, I could talk to a friend, I could do this, I could do that. Which one has even just the tiniest bit more attractiveness and excitement connected with it than any other that has the greater ability to be acted on? Just act on that first, and if you keep doing that step by step, it will start to build, it will start to expand, it will start to grow, and may turn into larger expressions, although it doesn't necessarily have to. Because even if you're always following your passion, even at that level, not meaning to diminish it, you're still following your excitement. So who cares how expanded or contracted it may appear? Yes?
Yeah, I absolutely can follow that. And I was having this conversation with you this morning in regards to magnetism, and then when you opened up with your delivery of the nodals and magnetism, it really helped me because I was magnetized to this Bay Area, and I've never lived in the Bay Area before. And I felt like a real beacon of light lately in a company here in the Bay Area that's under a lot of controversy right now.
Oh, all right. How exciting.
I know, right? And so I was really fine with that. And
Fine with it how?
I was fine with them. Their mission literally had the word disruptor in it. They were a disruptor in a certain market. So I thought, okay, cool. This is going to be an interesting ride.
Yes.
Because they're using that word in their mission statement.
All right.
Well, I've just landed here a month and a half ago, and things are really going well there.
Again, you sound surprised.
Well, what happened with that is that just 2 days ago, we've parted ways.
All right.
They've had to do a sweeping layoffs, and
so now where does your passion take you?
that is a really great question.
Oh, thank you. Do you have a great answer?
I really don't, except for
Actually,
right here, right now.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much. Because obviously you are here and now, so obviously your passion took you here for the moment. When this is done, your passion will take you wherever it appears obvious that it should take you. Yes, and remember what I just said. Simple steps are okay.
I think what's happening right now is there's this dissonance. It's almost like a cognitive dissonance where
Yes.
I felt so good
All right.
in this place.
May I stop you?
Yeah.
Since we talked about the idea that you were gathering information and different perspectives,
Yeah.
now that you have created a scenario that you have ousted yourself from that particular moment, how can you use what you gathered and what you learned in another way?
Yeah, I actually heard you say that when we were talking on I don't know what level, but on obviously a different level. And
So do you have an answer for that?
I don't.
Are
but-
you sure? Where's your imagination? Is it in a box somewhere? Open the box. How can you use what you have gathered in another way?
feel like I almost need at this point when I'm tapping in like vibrationally, because I really have been getting that idea and understanding of really lifting my frequency. And it started to really lift when I was there because I was meeting with VPs and EVPs.
Yes.
And one turned to me and said, I don't know if I can keep up with you. And I went, wow, I'm actually have a huge amount of leadership ability. Like if there's a reflection in front of me that I'm
Is that another step for you? Or is the information you have gathered sufficient for you to actually start your own business?
I feel like I'd like to be the way my nature works and how I work. I feel like I'm more wired to actually step back into another business arena.
But
at
be more leader
Yes.
in it.
Absolutely.
So that's the next step for you.
Yes, it is. But there's a hesitancy with it.
I heard the hesitancy.
And I feel like there's almost a need for a permission slip to step into that next reality. And I don't really understand
What
parallel.
kind of a permission slip do you believe you need?
I feel like there's a lot of perhaps doubt, or there's some lingering
And what is doubt? Come on. What is doubt? A 100% trust in something you don't prefer. So why are you trusting something you don't prefer? Remember, you never lack trust. Doubt is not a lack of trust.
I actually think I do lack trust.
You can't. You can have an experience of lacking trust, but you're trusting that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's actually a really cool way to reframe that.
That's the power of paradox. You can feel out of control, but you're controlling that. You can feel like you lack confidence, but you're confident about that. You can create an experience that you lack trust, but you're trusting that.
I really love talking with you because this is something that I've really needed to get down to the core of, which is just that paradox. So if I can trust the untrust, why couldn't I trust the trust?
Exactly. What's the difference? The universe doesn't care one way or the other. It's going to support you unconditionally. So whatever you say goes.
So I'm still wondering what's going on with needing a permission slip to step into a really
all
powerful
right. Don't judge it.
role.
If you have a belief system that says a permission slip will work for you, then use one.
And how do I go about using,
Imagination. What feels like a good permission slip in your imagination? If you could have any kind of a permission slip that seems relevant in your reality, what would it be? Would you jump up and down 50 times? Would you drink 5 glasses of water a day? Would you create some sort of a ceramic out of clay? Would you paint a picture of a reality of yourself being a leader? Would you sing songs about your power? Would you adopt a turtle? What kind of a permission slip seems attractive to you?
You are just a great friend. I feel like a permission slip that I could vibe with would be one that's really off the wall, but the other one is something that comes naturally to me, which is visualization.
That's fine. Just remember how to use it in the way that we talked. Use the visualization to pump you up to the excited state and then drop the picture. Because that's how you get yourself into the state to receive what actually needs to come from the higher mind. Now, sometimes it may look very similar to the picture that you conjured up, but very often it may not, so don't insist on it. Use the visualization for its actual purpose, a symbol to pump you to the correct state of being, state of excitement that makes it more easy for you to receive what the higher mind can then actually give you that will work better for you, whether you know it or not, no matter how it looks.
And I really heard that. I think where I get caught up to this point is using that visualization, and you were really emphatic about then dropping it so
Yes.
that you can allow whatever it needs to unfold. And I feel like I use that visualization up to this point in certain ways, almost in a controlling factor, and I hang on to that visualization without a dropping it.
All right, that's because you don't understand that your physical mind has no idea what actually needs to happen. You're still operating off the thing you've been taught that the negative ego uses to say, I have to be in control, I have to know everything that's going to happen exactly in the way I see it, or something is wrong. I'm out of control if it doesn't happen that way. You have to get into a state of humbleness, enough to know that you actually have no clue what's best for you. But your higher mind does. So why not take the burden off your shoulders, off your poor, stressed out little ego, and stop demanding it do a job it's not designed to do. Let the higher mind do its job. Work together. Understand that the physical mind, the physical ego, we've used this analogy before, is nothing more than a diving mask. If you're going to dive under the ocean, things are going to look a little murky because you're not used to that environment. It may not be as clear as the air. So what you do is you put on a diving mask that allows you to have clear vision while you're down there in that physical reality ocean. But that's the job of the diving mask. The diving mask doesn't have the job of saying, well, now I think you should go over here and look at that fish. Oh, now you should go over here and look at that fish. No, you decide that. The diving mask, the physical mind, the physical ego, just makes it possible to see whatever you decide to do more clearly. That's it. That's its job. It has no other job. It doesn't get to decide where you should go or what should happen next. It's not designed to do that. If you put that kind of pressure on the diving mask to tell you, well, what should I do next? What should I look at next? Tell me, tell me, tell me. That kind of pressure will crack the diving mask. And that's when it becomes the negative ego. Oh, all right, go there, go here. I guess you want me to tell you what to do. That's not my job, but I guess you're forcing me to do it that way. So I'll do it to my best, but it's going to drive me nuts because it's not my job. And then the physical mind goes insane. And usually allows something to happen because now your vision is cracked, so you can't really see clearly where you're going. So suddenly you go, oh, all right, I'll go that way, and off a cliff you go. And you do that because, in a sense, the physical mind in its subconscious compartment knows if I show her a direction and she falls off a cliff, it will finally bring everything back to zero. That's how it works. Don't get to the point where you have to fall off a cliff to understand that it's not the job of your physical mind to tell you exactly what should happen or where to go. The higher mind guides you through passion. That's the thread. That's the light that illuminates the path that is yours. The feeling of passion that attracts you to do this now and do that now. The physical mind just gets to go along for the ride and enjoy it. That's enough. So if you finally get to the point where you understand that insistence actually prevents something from happening that could be better than your physical mind imagined, you will stop limiting yourself. You will stop insisting that the physical mind's picture has to be it. You will know that that's a limitation you don't prefer. All this comes down to just understanding how this works. Yes?
Yes.
Is this helping?
It helps a lot. It almost feels like perhaps that permission slip is not going to work for me as much anymore.
Well, there you go. It's up to you to decide what does work for you. And ultimately realize you are the best permission slip because you're making the changes anyway. The permission slip isn't doing it for you. The permission slip just aligns with your belief system to allow you to circumvent your belief system. Someone thought that was funny. And it is. It's hilarious from our point of view.
So as I'm navigating now it feels like a new territory where I'm
Yes.
realizing what I'm really good at and having other people, I felt like a beacon of light. So
Yes, well, you are. All of you are.
and it felt really good.
Well, gee, I wonder why.
And now all of a sudden, I feel like when I start to, I can understand the languaging of the higher self, and then I understand the languaging of the human being in your opening.
Yes.
I think what happens is I can hear the higher self very clearly now. What is happening is I start to effort rather than do.
Why?
I'm not sure why, but
Well, that's the moment to stop, not rush ahead. Stop. And use that moment to find out what the belief system is that you're holding on to that makes it seem like you have to effort instead of do. That's what that moment is for. Don't avoid it. Don't rush ahead. Don't leave it behind. When those things come up, the thing to do is stay there with it and figure out why it came up. And remember, one of the tools in the kit of passion is the reflective mirror that reveals to you anything within your belief system that is out of alignment with your passion so that you can recognize it for what it is and let it go and bring that energy back into alignment with your passion. So the point is, and again, the paradox is, as you're acting on your passion, discovering something within yourself that is not representative of your excitement is part of your excitement, not an interruption in it.
and I understand that one as well. I think what's going on is I don't know that when I'm actually doing or efforting.
You can't tell the difference?
I think I'm always efforting.
Then what do you imagine just doing would feel like that's different?
I can hear myself saying, I just would like to have this next incredible leadership role fall into my lap.
Well, it will, but what makes you think that there isn't something you need to do or learn to do that is a challenge but doesn't have to be experienced as effort in the negative sense?
I think because I haven't experienced anything and just being chill and doing rather than like full on 150% efforting, I haven't had a touchstone to know that almost like that middle ground of hearing the higher self.
How did you come to this meeting today? Literally, how did you come here? Physically?
Uber.
Uber. Is that a friend of yours? How much effort did that take?
Actually, it was not any effort at all. In fact, I was thinking of
Then
taking...
what's wrong with that as an example of just doing? You have these examples in your life all over the place. Don't you see them? Perhaps you're under the assumption that it's supposed to feel like effort, when in fact, when you're actually in your flow, it does feel like you're not doing anything, even if you are doing something. So maybe your definition is not allowing you to understand that you have many examples in your life, even ones as simple as that, where you are in fact just doing something without any effort at all. But you're not recognizing that you're doing it because the effort is absent. And you're making a link between those two. If I'm not efforting, I'm not doing. Yet you just said you did something without effort. So it can't be that hard.
I think when I let that, what you've just said, really sink deep, that it will really be that.
I want to ask you a question now. May I?
Yes, of course.
Why did you just say what you said? When I really let that sink in really deep, why should it take that much effort? Why not? I get it. I just get it. Why does it have to sink in deeply for you to get it?
It almost brought tears to my eyes. I don't have a good answer for that.
That's all right. I'm not suggesting that you must have it now. But ponder that, because in what we just said is your freedom. All right? I don't mean you have to ponder it right now.
I really appreciate that, Bashar, and
And we appreciate you. So,
thank you.
you are welcome. Of course, the most important thing is to appreciate yourself.